Lead together, embrace change, enhance everyone's journey. The 3 core principles of SmartStop, a leader in self-storage real estate across North America, reinforce why we're proud to bring you SheEO Lead-In, the podcast featuring curated conversations with powerful women sharing their impactful wisdom. It's a self-knowledge, self-discovery, and self-preneurship audio storage vault created by and for women. SmartStop's presentation of SheEO Lead-In begins right now.
Have you ever felt that you as a woman may not appear to measure up when you see incredible women in strong roles? You may be surprised when hearing from women in these positions and how we all share many of the same challenges. Thank you for joining us for the SheEO Leading-In podcast with Rebecca Jones as we share the journeys of women.
Hello, I'm Rebecca Jones, your host of SheEO Lead-In. We are on an exploration together to discover more about the personal journeys of incredible women in both career and life. We all have paths to share that sometimes take incredible turns, deep resilience, and courage to navigate. My hopes are that the challenges shared here encourage women to take leaps of faith and growth when a journey feels too difficult or unachievable. There is great strength deep within each one of us. These stories are meant to share the ways strong women have taken their dreams to strive and thrive to new heights, despite their sometimes rocky paths, and found a way to lead in. Today we're here with Lauren Lek from Our Lady of Peace. How are you today, Lauren?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm so excited to have you here with us today and share a little bit about yourself. I'd like to ask you, kind of to break the ice with our listeners here today, a fun short story about yourself that maybe not many people know about you.
Well, a fun short story is that I actually met my husband here while we were both attending the University of California at San Diego, UCSD. But we're both originally from Northern California. So we met down here at UCSD, moved back up to the Bay, and then it was his job that brought us back down to San Diego now 12 years ago.
I was wondering, when did you move back? You just couldn't stay away, could you?
We couldn't, no.
It's beautiful in San Diego. So thinking through your life and who you have been, who you've evolved to, what is one word that you think describes you best?
Joy.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
And it's not always something that just happens. It's something you kind of have to choose every day.
It is. Yeah. It was actually that story that started off our school year at OLP is the choice to lean into joy. Obviously, there's a lot of hard things that can happen during those teenage years. Yeah. And it's a lot of ups and downs and a lot of hard things that our teenagers go through. But even during the hard times, it's making the choice to have a joyful attitude. And it's not happiness, right? Because there's a difference between choosing joy and having a joyful attitude. Yeah. And it can uplift an entire community. It can change the dynamic so powerfully. And so I think that's what really makes the difference in a culture and a climate, is when those around you are choosing a joyful attitude, choosing positivity, focusing on your blessings and gratitude. Yeah. And so as someone who really tries to lean into that day in and day out, that was my challenge to my girls, all 750 of them. Nice.
Well, I mean, just thinking that through, you see someone that you seems to be having a bad day, you smile at them. What happens?
Yeah.
It's
Their whole
contagious.
Face lights up.
Yes,
does.
it is. It is contagious. So I wholeheartedly believe in that. So tell us a little bit about your actual job at Our Lady of Peace, and then how long you've been doing that.
Sure.
And what kind of led you there too?
Yeah, and I love that you, as I said, your actual job.
Yes.
Because it's one of those things that I feel so lucky I get to go to that job every day, because it doesn't quite feel like a job. Yeah. Because I've always said to myself, the day I don't find teenagers fun is the day I need to switch jobs, because I really do enjoy being with 750 teenage girls day in and day out. I find them really fun and delightful and engaging. And so being at the Academy of Our Lady of Peace for the past 12 years is more fun than I could have ever imagined. And most people are listening to this right now going, I think she's crazy. But that's what I get to do every day. It's the oldest high school in San Diego, 142 years old, and the only remaining all-girls school. And we have the chance to really touch the lives of girls coming from over 82 different zip codes, coming from all over the mega region of San Diego. We have a group of young women that cross the U.S. international border every single day that will take them 2.5 hours in the morning and again in the afternoon. So we're really a global community of young women from all across San Diego. And we've invested over my past 12 years a lot in rebuilding and transforming the campus. We had a lot of old buildings, as can happen on a 142-year-old campus.
Sure.
And so renovating and bringing those buildings up to the caliber of the programs that we offer. And so it's been a really neat journey. I was the first lay head of school. What does that mean? I wasn't a sister, a religious sister. So I have a husband and kiddos. And so it's been a really magical journey.
That is so interesting. I had no idea. Well, you know what? I'm actually going to transition into a little sneak peek into what's next, because I know you've got some exciting things. I generally do that at the end, but you're just talking about the campus and everything, which is beautiful, by the way, if our listeners haven't actually seen it. What are you working on right now? Because I find it so exciting.
Well, one of the things that is near and dear to my heart is really paying attention in our communities as to who's on the margins, who are those that maybe we haven't really been paying attention to. And, you know, I love the title of your show, SheEO Lead-In. And isn't that what we're challenged to do, to pay attention, to lead in to those around us? And so one of the things that we've been focused on at OLP is paying attention to those we need to lead into. And so this year we have launched a deeper dimension of serving those in our community, and that's through our St. Joseph Scholars Program. For the last about 10 years, we've been serving those with mild to moderate learning disabilities in our Sisters and Scholars Program. But for the first time this year, we will now be serving students with moderate to severe. And this fall, we welcomed our first student with Down syndrome. And let me tell you, it has transformed our campus. Already our students are inclusive and loving and kind. But the way they have welcomed this young woman onto this campus blows my mind. It has warmed my heart in ways that I think maybe by the end of the year I'll stop crying when I talk about it, but I haven't yet, because it was beyond everything I hoped for. And to see how it has transformed our community already in a couple of weeks, and how it has helped girls say, hey, I'm struggling, I need help. I never thought it would transform them in that way. And I am so excited to see what I have yet to see.
So it started with someone courageous enough to say, I want to come here, and then look how it has snowballed.
Exactly.
That is really fun and exciting. And, you know, a lot of people would not have the courage in the beginning to actually take that first step. So kudos to her. That is an amazing story.
It is.
So let's just talk a little bit about who you are as a person and who you are when you are measuring success in all things, because I think you mentioned you have kids, you know, measuring success and failures and how that looks to you, because I actually think that failure also shapes you as much as actual success. But I want to hear what you have to share with us on that.
It is. And I think as women, we are our worst critics.
Oh my gosh, I say this all the time. Yes, it's true.
We are so hard on ourselves.
We are.
And so I think failure, yes, and also being kind to ourselves as women, as mothers, balancing it all. I was just talking with a mom the other day, and she had just started back to work. And being kind to yourself, being willing to say, oh gosh, maybe I'm doing okay. And being willing to accept yourself and what your limits are. Because I think that we as leaders, as women, trying to find our pathway through it all can be so hard. So measuring your success amidst what could I get done? What can I reasonably handle?
Right.
Those are all hard things. And that becomes a really hard barometer. And the head talk to ourselves as well. And I see
Very much so. I couldn't agree more.
And so I think even talking about that, I love the chance when I can talk with my girls, my students about that, being very honest and vulnerable with them, where either I failed, I couldn't get it all done, or I'll say I was really proud. And being open to saying, I'm proud about what I did, or proud of the journey. As parents, we always celebrate, but do we celebrate the process? Do we celebrate the journey? Do we celebrate, maybe it wasn't first place, but hey, you did a great job getting there.
Well, it's an ebb and flow too. I mean, sometimes you're going to feel like, oh, I'm doing everything so well, I'm on a good track. And then you stumble. Yeah. Because we all do. And I think there's always a perception of, oh, that person has it all together, because they don't know the reality of what you actually are facing behind the scenes. And then I think back to your vulnerability discussion. I think that is so important because we all fail.
We do.
And when we're sharing those stories, and I always say it does take a village, but it takes a village to also share the hard times.
Yeah.
Not just all the shiny little thing that you see in social media, because it all looks all good. There are a lot of ugly moments where you're failing, or you are being hard on yourself, your hardest critic. All of those things are part of who we become and how we get through things. And let's face it, if you have something really difficult happen in your life and you're not equipped, talk to other women, talk to other people, because they have probably gone through the same exact thing, maybe even something a little bit different. But those stories, sharing the vulnerable moments of the tough times, I think helps us all communally get through things easier.
It's so true. Yeah. And I think as a leader, allowing people into those moments where they can see behind the curtain, where they can see how you operate. And that's when they see, oh, all right, she doesn't have it all together.
No.
Or the humanity behind the leader. That's so important. Then they see that you're real, your authentic self, what you look like at 6 a.m. and 7 p.m.
Look in the back of the car.
Right.
It's a disaster.
Isn't that the truth? Yeah.
Sometimes you look in the back of the car and you're like, oh gosh, if anyone looked in here, it looks like someone lives here.
Yeah, exactly.
Because those moments are like that. And then other times it looks spick and span, and that's how life is though. Yeah. And I think, sharing those moments and being real about it.
And the kids are going to survive if mac and cheese is on the table 4 nights a week. It's going to be okay that week.
That's right.
Honesty and authenticity and vulnerability, those are real things. And the more we can just tell those stories.
Well, that leads me right into balancing.
Oh gosh, I don't know if that's a real word.
I think it's, like I said before, kind of an ebb and flow. At moments you feel like, oh my goodness, I'm crushing it, I'm doing so well, and then you're like, oh my gosh, it's mac and cheese 5 nights this week.
Mac and cheese 5 nights. Here we go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think that the more we talk about it, the less the expectations are of ourselves. Yeah. Because we know what truth and reality is, because it's not this, oh, it's a perfect little world, the social media. Yeah. And, when I was a kid, we didn't have that. So it was very different. There was not that expectation that everything was a perfect little Stepford life. It was a lot of real and reality. Mm-hmm. And I think that, as, we go through things like pandemics and all of that, I think being able to share the truth and reality behind things really is very helpful.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about leading men. Have we had any issues with this in your career?
I would have to say I'm really blessed. Some of the strongest men that have been mentors to me and guides, the ones that have tapped me on the shoulder, have said, you need to go for this, have been men in my lives.
Interesting.
And as I have thought about the positions that maybe I wasn't going to go for, it was the men who said, oh no, you've got to go for that. And so as I flip that on the side and I think about hiring men onto my teams, making sure my board is balanced. In an all-girls school, sometimes it's easy to just hire women, but being very conscientious, are there enough men on our faculty, men on our leadership team, men on our board? Because diversity can go both ways.
Correct.
We need equal representation
across
all diversity fields. And so I have to say that I've been very blessed. I will say, though, it takes a special man to want to work in an all-women's institution. Yeah. And so our men have been very good partners, and they help bring about a diversity on our teams that is so important.
Well, you mentioned balance earlier, and balance in everything is so paramount, because if you only have one voice, it's like a marriage.
Yeah.
If you have one spouse that is giving all of the direction, it's not collaborative. And it won't function as well, and you will have so many losses in everything. So I think, having the balance is really important, and we need to.
And you bring up that essential word, right? Collaborative. Yeah. And I think that comes from how you establish your teams from the very beginning.
Definitely.
And the type of leader you create. And when your leadership is collaborative, when your teams, when it's distributed, there's going to be times that a decision has to be made, right? And yes, you might not all agree at that moment at the table, but as you walk out of the room, the why is there, the clarity, and the sense that, hey, all voices were heard. But when you have diverse teams, when the clarity of the decision is known and the chance of, my voice was heard, I got to say that, those are the essentials of how diversity and that balance and the collaborative effort can still be present.
Totally agree. So we're going to have to take a short break and a little SmartStop.
SmartStop knows the winning connection is when we elevate success together. SmartStop Self Storage, a California company with nearly 200 properties and over 15 million square feet of rentable storage in the US and Canada, is committed to positively impacting the communities we serve on the national and local level. By aligning our core principles of leading together, embracing change, and enhancing everyone's journey with local initiatives focused on education, health, and social welfare, we all elevate together. Through financial and strategic partnerships with nonprofits and prestigious organizations such as Cloudcast Media, Arrow McLaren IndyCar, Breast Cancer Research Foundation, Wounded Warrior Project, USC Athletics, the Brampton Steelheads, MMA fighters and boxers, and other unique athletes, we aim to foster a sense of unity and pride within the communities we serve, creating a shared identity and generating a positive atmosphere. To learn more about our core values, our locations, and career opportunities, please visit us at smartstopselfstorage.com. SmartStop, elevating success together.
So let's talk a little bit about role models and mentors. So do you have any that greatly influenced you? And they could actually be a family member, because a lot of times I think we shouldn't discount that. But when you point back to, or you look back, who can you point to say they really, really impacted me?
There's no doubt. And I appreciate you saying family members, because growing up, my mom made sure that she told stories and brought into our home so many women that oftentimes I think young girls didn't grow up looking at. And whether it was Golda Meir or it was Madeleine Albright or Margaret Thatcher, these were the names that my mom talked about.
Wow.
And as I think about at OLP, our Sisters of St. Joseph, these were women that were CEOs at a time that often women were not.
Correct.
These were women that were real estate moguls and tycoons. They were incredible. And so, yes, I see our girls and even young ones today who love Disney princesses. But we can even in those moments see bravery and courage standing up for what is right and what is just.
And strength.
And strength.
And it's okay.
Yes.
It's okay. Yeah.
Going against the grain. And I am so grateful that my mom did that.
Yeah.
And I do that for my boys. And we talk about these amazing women. And just a real quick story. I'll never forget when my oldest, he was little and my nanny was at the park. And it was one of those moments that my phone starts blowing up with text messages. And I thought, oh no, something horrible has happened. And she says, amazing moment. My son, he's at the park. He's like in second grade. All the kids are playing. And this little girl says, hey, I have an idea for a game. And this other boy says, no, you're a girl. You can't tell us what to do. And my son says, well, my mom's a boss and she's a girl. Why can't this little girl tell us what to do? And my nanny's like, I was so proud of him.
That is
right?
awesome.
And so I think about the role models that we as moms are, the role models that our boys see. And it takes all of us, for girls, for boys, to be the role models that change society. So I think so many role models, moms, grandmas, those we see on the media, shape our communities and our societies.
Totally agree. I love that. And how awesome that moment was with him doing that.
Yeah.
Because, being able to see with those eyes, sometimes, I don't know about you, but like my daughter, I have thought, oh, is she ever going to see what I'm doing? And then it comes out and then you go, okay, she did see it.
Yeah.
Because I think there is, with a mom and a daughter, somewhat of her needing to find herself and who she is going to be, where she really has this conflict a little bit. I would say it's a healthy conflict, but it doesn't feel like that in the moment. But a healthy conflict where she's trying to find herself. And I don't think we talk about that enough because that in itself is really a beautiful thing, because she is going to find her way and she's going to remember all the things that, that mother and daughter relationship did have and bring to her life. So let's talk a little bit about lessons and things that you've learned that you would like to share with other young women that maybe really mean a lot to you, that maybe someone would not actually bring up and share.
Gosh, we've covered so much.
I know.
I would say I talk a lot about passion. And I think that's a big, scary word for a lot of young people. Oh, I know what my passion is. But I would say connect with your strength. Find what that strength is. And I have to say, I love your story about your compass pin for your city.
Thank you.
And I think your strength, your passion is a lot like finding your compass.
It's
what
true.
makes you tick? What are you really good at? And it could be connecting with your hobbies or your interests, or what's that thing that you just love to do? When you find that, lean into that, because that is who you are. And when you find that strength, that passion, and you lean into it, it gives you that direction for your life. And I think when you are in that zone of your genius, you light up.
And you're unstoppable.
You're unstoppable. It's so
true.
true. Yeah. And for me, I love serving other people, helping them find their passions.
Yes.
That's why I'm in education.
Yes.
And it gives me the greatest joy every single day to be in that role and helping other people find their passions, find their joy, find their excitement is life-giving to me. Yeah. And so I get to do what I do every day and find that passion. And so I would say that to people, Find it, lean into it. Don't worry about the money, because when you're in it, it will come.
Yeah.
It will multiply tenfold. I think another thing related to that is don't be afraid of those stumbles. Don't be afraid. We use the word failure, but the stumbles that you're going to hit, right? The hurdles along the way. 100%. We've just seen this incredible thing called the Olympics in Paris, right? How many people have we seen through the Olympics stumble, fall? We have seen stories of that. Yeah. And yet they get back up again. They go run the next race. They swim the next opportunity. And so don't be afraid of it. And so those would be some of my things. And the last third one is the road is never straight. Don't be afraid to pivot, to change, to shift, and be open to where that direction is calling you. Those are the three things.
Do you know what's interesting? And, I talk to a lot of kids groups, and I talk about the compass, find your way, try things that are scary for you, not dangerous, not physically dangerous, but scary because they actually help you grow.
Yeah.
And, back to education and all of that. My fourth grade teacher, I remember her so vividly. She was so beautiful and so sweet. And I also remember my second grade teacher. I went to public school. My second grade teacher was not happy. She impacted me so negatively, but it actually had as much impact as my fourth grade teacher, who was amazing and told me I could do anything. And I honestly felt like I could do anything. My second grade teacher, though, also, kind of failures and all of that. I actually look at those two experiences, even though they impacted me both very deeply, but very differently. I think they were both very, put me on a path to where I was like, okay, I'm strong. I have an inner strength that maybe most people don't have because they don't know it.
Yeah.
They don't know it. And I think when you are an outside person that is not related, you have much more impact than you actually know. And you can help put that child on a trajectory because their family might not have that skill set.
So true.
And put them, and to say, I believe in you, you can do this, really puts you on a path where you remember those words.
You do.
And you're going to look back and say, I'm going to try something. So every time I give one of those pens to a young person, I say, find your path. Don't be afraid to try new things.
Yeah.
Because that actually is what creates the excellence in our lives.
It does.
It really does. And the growth, of course. So just thinking about your journey, how do you think that you were led to have the job and the career that you have? Is there any one thing you look back and you go, oh gosh, that really was the game changer for me?
I think it really was all the way back in high school. As I finished off, I always, throughout kind of my middle school, high school years, worked at a summer day camp. And I loved it. And I always got the hardest boy groups. I always got the most challenging kind of opportunities given to me. And it was my elementary principal that ran it in the summer because my mom never allowed us to sit around. You always had to give back. You always had to volunteer. And coming out of high school, he came to me and said, I want you to be our associate director. I said, I'm only 18. What are you talking about? He said, I see this in you. You, in a number of years, 2 years, will be running the whole thing. You probably will have my job. And I said, what? And he's all, yeah, I see this in you. You're going to be running schools. You're going to be taking over. This is you. And I had left the Christian schools and headed to a Catholic high school. And the fact that he welcomed me to run his camp, it had tons of kids. It was huge. I was managing enormous budgets. But he trusted me. He saw that in me. And I believed him, like you said.
Yep.
And off I went.
And it was someone that was not related to you.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of impact in that.
It is. And sure enough, I came back every single summer from UCSD to run that camp, and it was the greatest joy of my life. And this past summer, OLP, we relaunched our Pilot Summer Academy.
Nice.
And it was so much fun for me to rebuild a summer program. You know, here I am running the school as the head of school. Yeah. But, you know, I lit up. It was so much fun. And so when I think back on my life, it was that transformative moment when Mr. Monk said to me, "You're running this camp." And I said, "Oh, yeah."
I love that.
And I headed off to UCSD to minor and major in medicine. I was going to follow in my dad's footsteps and go be a doctor. And I got to college and said, "Nope, I think I'm switching and I'm going to go into education." And it really was, you know, his influence on my life. And
you took the challenge and the call.
I did.
I love that.
And sometimes, you know, it sits with us for a while, right?
Yeah, definitely.
You know, sometimes we have to ruminate. We have to really discern on it and sit on it. But yeah, I think I knew in my heart for a while I was meant for education. And I just needed time to find my way into that.
So last thoughts on what's coming up new. You told me about or you shared with our listeners today about your expanding your program, but you've got something else in the physical arena. Talk a little bit about that. What's that going to look like?
So we were talking about earlier, one of the fastest growing sports programs here in San Diego, and I would actually venture to say maybe even across the state of California, is girls flag football. Oh, wow, did we have a huge turnout of girls coming out at OLP. But our greatest challenge is where to put all these student athletes. Field space is a major problem for OLP, as it is for many of our schools in San Diego. Our focus in the months and years ahead is going to be on an athletic wellness center, really bringing together not only our OLP community, but other school communities to look at how we can really focus on athletic fields that will serve not only our OLP community, but other school communities, as well as also our broader community. We know that in very dense urban areas, we need to look at how we can meet this need in a collaborative way, not just for the amazing flag football program, but for other sports programs. Student athletes are on the rise. We have close to 550 student athletes. That represents upwards of 75% of our student community. Wow. We just don't have access to the fields anymore. It's getting harder and harder. And as the oldest high school in San Diego, we think it's important that we are leading the way in this area. And as we continue to expand the diversity of our student body, especially with the launch of our St. Joseph Scholars Program, we're becoming more attuned to other programs in San Diego that similarly are struggling to access for field space, parks and rec. So as we are growing, we are becoming aware of other community issues around this.
Yeah. Well, I actually have something to share on this.
Yeah.
I think the future is going to be public-private partnerships.
Yes.
And that will include field space for private programs, but also finding a way to maintain these properties, making sure that the school districts and all of the other, different sports are involved, because that's how, having field space that's available during the day for the high schools and whatnot, and then at after hours for your team sports that are, pay to play sort of programs. There's a lot of opportunity in that. So I think the way that we've done things in the past is going to be definitely not what happens in the future. And I love that our kids are becoming more active.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And another population that we have to pay pay attention to are our dear seniors.
True.
How do we care for this growing geriatric population? What do they do during the day? How do we serve them? And we know that when our seniors are engaged with our young people, that's good for both populations.
I was just going to say that. Yes, definitely. And you know what? So when I was a kid, I went to San Diego Dance Academy to tap dance. Every month, once a month, we would go to an aging facility, and we would go and dance for them, and we would chat with them.
Yeah.
And it was a thing. And I remember the first time our teacher said that we were going to do this, I thought, oh my goodness, it was the best thing ever. Yeah. And it really helped me appreciate our elderly population. I love just sitting there and listening to them.
Yeah.
They have such amazing stories, and I think that is something that we really need to invest in.
Yeah.
I loved our conversation today. Thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciated all of it. It was fun, energetic, but also very revealing that you enjoy the collaboration, but all of the wonderful things that you're doing in the community. I just love it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Now that was powerful. We hope you've been lifted and encouraged by today's inspiring voice. Always remember that life doesn't look exactly the same for each one of us. Never stop dreaming, striving, and thriving. In future episodes, we look forward to bringing you powerful stories from amazing women who learned how to lead in to challenges. Thank you for listening and being part of our community with SheEO host, Rebecca Jones.
The incredible curated SheEO conversation you just enjoyed was brought to you by SmartStop, a leader in self-storage real estate and a company that upholds its core principles of leading together, embracing change, and enhancing everyone's journey. To learn more about SmartStop, please visit smartstopselfstorage.com.
Cloudcast Media.